She's aboard of the assembly line. She's making history, working for victory. Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah, I was born March the 12th, 1924, and my dad was a Pentecostal holiness preacher. So Dorothy Jewell, World Keaton, and it was 17 in my family. Yeah, I was born in Charlottesville, Virginia, and it was 17 in my family. Well, some of them were married and gone the time I was born. I didn't start to school till I was 8. They didn't start me to school till I was 8 because I had so far to walk.
Mom, when you lived in Charlottesville, Virginia, how many miles did you have to walk to school?
About 3 to church and 3 to school. No, we lived on a farm, and we had plenty, when the Depression, we had plenty of stuff to eat because Mom had canned a lot of stuff, and we had plenty to eat. Yeah, Willie, my sister, and Louise, my niece, we're all in the same grade at school.
Aunt Betty was your older sister.
Yeah, she was for me, and I was born, then Willie, then Mildred.
What was the name of the school?
Odie School, I think. Odie School.
In Piedmont, Virginia?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a farm down there and up Hickman Holler.
Tell about the lady you were named after that would buy you shoes every year.
Yeah.
Your parents couldn't afford your shoes.
A Jewell woman named me, Dorothy Jewell, and every year she'd bring me shoes for Christmas. Because we didn't have much, we was hard up. Yeah, we moved to Beckley, then yeah, he was a pastor there at that church. A new church is standing there, but Martha took me and showed me where Dad used to preach.
The Kells Chapel.
I think I was in the 8th grade, I believe.
You were, what was the name of the school?
Sylvia School.
Where did you go for in the 9th and 10th grade?
We went to Woodrow Wilson.
Okay. Then where did your dad, in 1943, where did your dad move to?
Yeah, we went to Beckley, then we moved to McComas. And he preached there at that church. When we was little, Dad had read the Bible every night and every morning. We was afraid we were going to be late for school, but he always read the Bible every morning, had prayer. He was getting us ready to go to heaven. We moved to McComas, we had to walk, I forget how many steps to go to that school up on the hill. I was in 11th grade, I think, then. Yeah, I met Russell at Baltimore.
No, Willie got married, moved to Baltimore.
Yeah, Willie went up there, and I went up Baltimore, too, with her. Willie got pregnant and went back to Beckley.
Willie was your sister.
Yeah. I went up there and got a job at Glen L. Martin.
Okay. And what did you do?
I worked in what did I tell you? I worked in the shop there.
Drill press.
Drill press, yeah. And then they put me in the machine shop, but I went back to the drill press. I couldn't hardly work at machine shop.
What were they making?
I think we made stuff for airplanes. Yeah, they had holes in it, and I had to put something in the rivets in there, I think. I think that's what the drill press was. It's been 50 years, it's hard to remember all that stuff.
But you did it with a gun, right?
Yeah. I forgot what 2 years, but that's where I met Russell, 1944. Then we got married December 6, 1946, I think, Russell and I did.
What was it like to work there at that Lockheed Martin place, Glen L. Martin? You did a drill press, and how many people was in there?
Oh, Martin had a lot of people hard.
Was it mostly women?
No, I think it was women and men worked in there. I stayed with Miss Goldenhorse, and I rode home every night with somebody.
What did you wear in there?
I think we had to wear a uniform, I believe. and put my hair up, I think,
What else?
so it wouldn't get caught in the machine. As far as I remember it way back. Since
It was a scarf. Everybody wore like a scarf handkerchief, and they wore it on their head.
yeah, we had something we wore on our head, and every time before we went home, she let us all go to the bathroom and clean up before we left. And I was with Russell one night, and somebody asked him if he liked leather birches. He said, I never did own any, but leather birches was some kind of a bean, wasn't it? And Russell said, I never did own any leather birches.
Russell, being from West Virginia, was a true hillbilly. Also, were you allowed to wear jewelry?
No, you couldn't wear jewelry down there, I think, where it worked. Well, we'd get it hung in something, you know. But one year I went somewhere to work, and I worked all year there, and I sent Mom and Dad every penny I made. I just kept enough to eat. I knew they never did have much, so I give it all to them.
That was in 1944 and 1945. You sent all your money home.
$10.
Yeah, I lived with Willie up there. And then
In a trailer park.
I had a date with somebody one night, and they didn't want me to go with them, and there Jennings and Russell lived in that same trailer park. And when they come back, they brought Russell. So he picked me up, and Willie said, not that one. She thought Russell was a little rough, and she wanted me to, but then she said I got the best one after all.
Jennings and Russell were brothers.
Okay.
And they were both in the war too.
Where was the boarding house? What was that lady's name? You said she'd fix your lunch?
Yeah, Miss Gollenhorse. I lived there. I stayed there with her, and she packed my lunch and everything for $10 a week.
And that was because Willie moved back to Beckley. That's why you lived in the boarding house.
Yeah. 'Cause I was raised in the country, you know, on the farm.
What did you think when you got there? With all the cars and people, and was it scary being that far away from home?
No, I don't think so. I had a place, I stayed up there. I worked the night shift. Then when I come home, he let me out down up the road, and I had to walk up there by myself sometime, you know.
It was a long driveway in the dark. Did you get scared?
Yeah, one time somebody stopped down there when I got out of the car. I had the right smart piece to walk up there to the house where I was staying.
When they were trying to train you to be Rosie the Riveter, you were called Rosie the Riveter because you did the rivets in the metal, you told me, with that gun, right?
Yeah,
And this is what the quote was: if you can use an electric mixer, you can learn to operate a drill press. And when you moved up to the machine shop, was that more pay?
I think it was, but it was hard for me to work, and I went back to the drill press.
You told me there was pieces of metal and they had holes in them, and you had to put the rivets in them.
Yeah, I think that's where it was. Yeah, I'm 98 years old, and I can't remember all that stuff.
You worked the night shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then what did you do during the day? Just sleep, or did you get out and about?
Miss Gollenhorse had a daughter named Ethel. We just ran around together.
So you had a friend, Ethel, to run around with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And since she lived in Baltimore, she knew her way around.
Yeah. When I quit, I told them down there I could draw unemployment because Mom was sick and I had to go home. So I could draw unemployment because of that. So I made good money unemployment. And Betty, she worked in the restaurant. She couldn't draw any unemployment.
Where was your first date in Baltimore?
Where did you and Russell go on your first date?
We went to that, I tell you, that park somewhere. Where was it? That park's still there, they said.
Patterson.
Patterson Park, yeah. That's where we went on our first date.
How long did you date him before he went to war?
Well, he wouldn't serve us, and when he come in on his vacation, we got engaged there at McComas. Then one time we was at Christiansburg, so we got married there at Christiansburg. We had this Methodist preacher marry us. December 6, 1946, when we got married.
And did you go home that night and get into bed with him?
No, we didn't have no honeymoon.
I thought your dad wanted to see the marriage license before he put him out of the house.
Oh yeah, Grandma Keaton did. We told her we was married, and she said, well, I'm not gonna let you sleep together till you show me your marriage license. But she never.
Didn't your sister say Dorothy didn't come to bed tonight?
Yeah, when I went home to Mom's, I stepped downstairs with Russell, and he said, Mom, Dorothy didn't come to bed last night. Slept down with Russell. Mama said, that tells a tale, then she married.
Were your parents sad when you moved to Baltimore, so far away?
Yeah, Mom hated to see me leave. We lived at McComas then.
And you were 18?
Willie come in, and I went back to Baltimore with her, I think.
She talked you into leaving?
Yeah. So I went.
And how come you didn't get hired on your first interview when you first went down to be a drill press person? What was the reason they didn't hire you?
Well, I told them I was in the 11th grade and they was afraid I was going to. They didn't harm me the first time I went, so Nelson took me down there again, and they harmed me next time. I didn't tell them. Oh, my son.
You just told them how old you were. You were 18, so
Yeah.
they thought you'd graduated.
Mm-hmm.
But you really didn't. You went to the 11th grade, right?
Yeah. Then I worked, when I lived at Beckley, I worked at Pinecrest too, over there. I could walk up there and work. Then I used to work at Murphy's at Beckley too.
This was all before you were married.
Mm-hmm.
Did you also work in George's in Beckley, the clothing store?
Yeah. I used to date somebody there at Beckley, part of the vest. Then I met Russell, and I thought, well, I sure ought to marry Bernard Vest, because I got a lot better husband with Russell. I see Russell was in the Philippines.
Yes. And he wrote you
A letter.
letters. And what did the letter tell you about working in Beckley?
He want me to go back to McComas, or he wasn't going to send my. He was going to send my mail to McComas. He wasn't going to send it to Beckley. Yeah, I thought he sure is getting bossy. I don't know where I want to marry him or not. He's trying to control me before I get married.
That was his personality.
Didn't you say he came up and one of the girls said, you got to watch that one, and he made her apologize or something? What
Yeah,
was
he
that
come-
story?
He come down there where I was working,
As a drill press.
you know, and some guy that said, you better watch that guy. And he made her apologize to me. She didn't know I was dating Russell. She said, you better watch that guy.
So she had to come and apologize to you?
Yeah.
So he's bossing her around too.
Hmm. So Russell's been dead how long now? About,
2013.
yeah.
9 years, Grandma.
I think we've been married about 63 years.
He was 93 at the time when he passed away.
Mm-hmm. We was in Commerce when the war ended, you know. I think it was at Commerce.
You sent your money home to your mom and dad because they were poor. What did Russell Keaton send his money home for?
Yeah, he bought a farm somewhere, didn't it? Land up on the hill. Yeah, he put his money in land.
But Russell bought the farm at Pipestem on the Gravelly Point Road, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where he took you to live.
Yeah, I think he borrowed the money from his mom till he got it paid for. Then he paid her back. I think that's what it was. One time Russell brought somebody home with me from church, and I went downstairs and had a lot of cans to fix a big dinner. So I always said, don't bring nobody else home unless you tell me from church with you. But Russell, like Mary said, she never did hear me and Russell fuss.
Russell's famous statement was, "You take care of your business and I'll take care of mine."
Yeah.
Keeps a sharp lookout for sabotage, sitting up there on the fuselage. That little Fred can do more than America do. Rosie, the Riveter. Rosie's got a boyfriend, Charlie. Charlie, he's a Marine. Rosie is protecting Charlie, working overtime on the riveting machine. When they gave her a production need, she was as proud as a girl could be. There's something true about red, white, and blue about